Howdy everyone! Today I'm going to show you how to knock out some fast and easy flame effects. The Fyreslayer incarnations seem like a great demonstration of those, a great way to show you that because they are all fire all the time, but you can also use this exact same idea to do any sort of flames on any miniatures that are holding torches or whatnot. So what I've got here are miniatures that are base coated in pink. I use my airbrush to do this, but you could hand paint these, you could use a spray primer, but get your miniature to be pink all over. These I started with kind of a light pink all over, and I did spray a little bit of a darker pink and a magenta on top. You could do that or not, either way. And you could do that with a brush would be fine too. But however you get the pink on your miniature, what I'm doing here, this is the real trick for getting some good looking fire effects, which is to get it pink first and then wash it with a watered down white wash. Now, most of the time when you're painting miniatures, you're going to be using watered down paints or washes or shade paints or whatnot to darken the recesses of your models. But when you're painting fire, it's kind of like reverse shading and highlighting, that you actually want the recessed areas to be brighter than the rest of the miniature. So this is a rare occasion where actually using a watered down white and washing white into the cracks and crevices of the model will give you the sort of fiery flame effect that you're going for. So you can see here, especially in those cracks and crevices where you want the flames to be the hottest and the brightest, washing that watered down white, probably 50-50 paint and water, is the way to go. I'm using the Pro Acryl Bold Titanium White for this, but really any white paint will be fine because you're not going for even coverage. You notice on the back of this Molten Infernoth here, the white is flowing into the cracks and crevices, but I'm trying to have a lot of the pink still showing through. So once you've got your white wash all over the miniatures, go ahead and let that fully dry before moving on to the next step. And for the next step, what we're going to do here is grab a big, fat, wide brush, something that you can really spread the paint out on, and some transparent yellow paint. I'm using the Pro Acryl Transparent Yellow, but any of the bright yellow contrast paints from Citadel would work as well. And you're going to end up with this effect here. It's a neat, almost optical illusion. Until all the pink is covered up with yellow, it still looks pink to me. It's really only after you've got that layer of transparent yellow over the entire surface that it all kind of blends together and your eye then registers the pink as the orange that it actually is. So using a big fat brush for this, but you also could definitely run this through an airbrush and give the whole thing an even coat of yellow. That would be fine too. Same idea on one of the other incantations. You're just giving it a very thin coat all over of the transparent yellow. Airbrush is fine. I kind of like using a brush for this. It lets me kind of see what I'm doing. It also makes it, if you want, you can leave some of the white that you washed into the cracks. You can leave it white, almost use a little bit of a dry brushing motion. But I usually just kind of give it an all over coat of yellow. And this is really fast to do. It ends up with a really great looking orange-yellow gradient, and it's easy. So with the yellow painted all over, just going to give you a quick side-by-side with the pink before on the left and the yellow-orange on the right. The only difference is the coat of transparent yellow to give you a sense, when you're painting the pink, of how it's going to turn out. To tie these in with an army, rather than just painting the sides, I put a little bit of the Pro Acryl coarse texture along the outside on the broken rocky bits. And then a darker edge will also contrast with the fiery colors of the incantations. So to make the flames look a little extra fiery, I've grabbed a little bit of the Inktense White. It's like a white ink. It's pretty high pigment, but it's relatively thin. I haven't diluted this down at all. It's very thin. I'm going to take a little brush, and just to make the hottest parts of the fire pop, I'm just going to brush in a little bit of this white ink into the cracks and the crevices, the deepest part of the miniatures. Because fire is a natural phenomenon, to make it look natural, you don't necessarily want to put a little bit of white in every crack and crevice. You can end up sometimes, especially with a big gout of flame like this, it may be looking a little polka dotted, but just drop a little bit of that bright white kind of scattered around the miniature, and it will give that extra hot pop to the hottest inner parts of the flames. Because again, with the flames, what you're wanting to do is have the deepest part of the miniatures be white instead of the top parts of the miniatures be the brightest part of the miniature. So same idea on the big guy here. What I'm going to do is just take a little bit of that Inktense White and just kind of draw that in into some of the cracks and crevices. I'm not trying to go wild and do it all over the miniature, just in a few spots, kind of randomly. It'll make it look like you've got that sort of searing white hot fire. So anyway, as much or as little of this as you want. You can use it to draw attention to the face, just like you'd put a little extra attention on a model, given this is a fiery model. I think it'd be cool. You could use this technique across almost an entire army if you wanted. These are the flaming invocations for the Fyreslayers army that on my previous video. But you could do a whole army like this. You could do a molten Space Marine army. You could do a molten Stormcast army. Would be cool. Molten Chaos Dwarves. There's lots of ways you could use this. The technique of using a pink undercoat to paint oranges and yellows is well known, and I think that works really well. I've used that for other projects, but the key to using the pink undercoat for painting flames is for the pink to be on top of the white. And there we go. 3 fiery incantations ready to join a Fyreslayers army. And like I said earlier, this technique also works great on any flames, on any miniatures. Lots of miniatures have torches and that sort of thing. So have at it. As always, let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. All that good stuff. It really does help. And we'll see you next time for another Jolly Lark.